All right, lots to talk about. Exciting times. Thanks for sticking around. This is going to be the best anyway, so it was well worth it. Without further ado, all right, lots to share with you folks. All right, great discussions this morning. But as we start, obviously, everybody knows that the world has changed. Just look at your belt, look at your computer bag, look at how you communicate. But the key here is it's all about meeting the people that you service. It's about meeting your customer needs, being citizens, being businesses outcomes that you're trying to generate. But the world is now different. So how do we adapt? And what are the technology trends? And what technology innovations can we bring to the market that are really focused on meeting some of your business needs? So as we go, I like to call it the smart digital enterprise. Everybody talks about the digital transformation, but as we see the outcome transforming and our enterprises move into a digital world, it has to have some smart to it. And we're going to go through that journey as to how we make our solutions smarter with a tighter integration that will transform the customer experience or the experience of the people that you do in fact service, right, as you go along. So with that, if you just look, right, very quickly, what has been ongoing for the last little while? Ask yourself, when's the last time you put a stamp in an envelope to send a mail? Other than maybe for a card, right? We haven't done this, and I personally don't even recall the last time I've done this. When's the last time you went to the bank and waited in line to talk to an agent or someone, right, in order to do a transaction? The world is changing. If you go through the doctor, when's the last time you saw them look, at an X-ray on the light as opposed to maybe, right, a mobile device? So the world is transforming. We are doing things differently. It's not just about mobility. It's about getting a different experience. Yes, mobility is going to be one of the solutions that we're going to use, right, to gain access to the information differently, but the key is we're transforming into a digital world that generates a much better experience, again meeting some of the next generation requirements, and as you saw some of the kids that we brought on the stage earlier. So we'll talk about the various verticals, because obviously in order to build relevance, it's one thing to apply the technology horizontally, but it's much more powerful when you become and build relevance to a specific vertical market and get them to understand exactly what you can specifically do for their businesses. So we'll touch on that. So the world has changed. We are going through this transformation. It's a journey, but it's a journey that does not necessarily have an end goal or an end destination. The journey may continue and will probably continue well beyond my time when I retire and some of these newcomers take over. So we're going through this transformation. It's disruptive. But if you start looking at some of the technology, right, and if I look at big data, so you look at the content itself, everybody talks about big data. But now, if you look at some of the analytics, just look at our own portfolio at Avaya. We've evolved unified communication, where we now have different modes of communication. We have to do this recording in real time, and now we want to do analytics on top of this in real time. Add to this the contact center technology, moving to omni-channel, also requiring to be recorded in real time. Just think as we go through this journey, what is the impact of your data center infrastructure as you perform real-time recording of multimedia in addition to doing real-time analytics at the same time? Will the infrastructure that we've built together over the last 5, 7, or 10 years be suitable to meet those business needs as you go along? So it's one thing to talk about big data, and again, big data is way more than what I just described. But think about the transformation that your infrastructure is going to have to go through in order to meet those needs. The other big thing is the consumption of the content, as was said multiple times this morning, has to be mobile. The experience has to be the same. There's now an expectation in the marketplace that the information that is pushed to me and the experience that I'm going to get is the same regardless of how, where, and what I'm using to connect. That is, again, a profound change where, 5 or 10 years ago, when we went home, we were only able to do emails. Now you go, anywhere at a hot spot, at the airport, in a car, in a cab. It doesn't matter where you are and what device you want to use, your own or a corporate device, you do expect, and more so as the generation evolves, we expect the same, same experience. So therefore, again, there's got to be a transformation in technology to be able to adapt to those needs. We all see the impact of the community, the social media. You don't talk to people, you talk to a community, right? Paul mentioned the impact that social media can have in a business. Social media can bring a business to new levels or can completely bring it down to its knees. Social media is a very powerful means. Social media is a free marketing tool that can help your business or also kill your business. But what's important is as we evolve the technology, we need to start leveraging the social media to elevate contextual information presented to the people that are there to service you. So as you want to get service, when you do speak with an agent, you want them to understand better context. And maybe the fact that I tweeted or put something on my Facebook, right, this morning or yesterday is relevant to the service that I'm going to get. And therefore, we have to move to the integration of social media within our customer experience. Again, regardless of who those customers are. Last but not least, the delivery mechanism has evolved. Everybody that has been in the industry for 20, 25, or 30 years, you all come from the mainframe days. What did we do in the mainframes? We had a consolidated, centralized set of application, compute, memory, storage. Everything was sized on your behalf, right? And you just had dumb terminals, orange screens, green screen, ugly screens, right? But nothing that you could bring home with you. But again, we had some benefits from this architecture because we didn't have USB keys left with confidential information at the airport. So what we're doing now is, if you put on your resume that you know PBXs and IBM mainframes, you're pretty irrelevant. You take the same resume and you put cloud, and all of a sudden you're a genius, which is quite interesting. But when you look at the grand scheme of things, cloud is all about the reconsolidation, but there are different terminology that we use for cloud. Private cloud, hybrid cloud, and public cloud. So there are different terminology, and what I want is, well, what about this terminology that everybody was talking about? I think the private cloud is pretty clear. It's about reconsolidating application, compute, storage, right? Whatever is relevant to my business on-prem. I build my own private cloud, right? I build this in one or multiple data centers, physical or one virtual, but I reconsolidate all my information into the private cloud. The public cloud is also pretty straightforward. I'm now accessing services in the public cloud through the public internet, through a public interface, and I simply go like your Amazons, right, your Dropbox, those are hosted in the public cloud. So what is a hybrid cloud? Well, once again, unfortunately, there are different definitions for different people. For some folks, a hybrid cloud means I am an enterprise and I have some of my services in the private cloud and some other services in the public cloud. And I now refer to it as I have a hybrid cloud implementation for my enterprise. But for some other folks, what's interesting is they see hybrid cloud as a mechanism or a means to scale your existing private cloud installations. Example, I want to scale my contact center because it's time for elections or there's a crisis happening, but I don't want to grow my on-prem, my private cloud. I don't want to buy all those licenses. I want to scale in the public cloud. That's going to be a means of scaling your existing infrastructure. So I don't have to go and buy all the equipment and the CapEx to build my private cloud. I use the public cloud to gain this concept of elasticity that I'll talk about in a few minutes. So for some folks, when we talk about hybrid cloud, it's about scaling in the public cloud my private installations that is on-prem. But for others, it's also something to do with the branch. Now think and look at the transformation of the branch industry and how you're accessing your information. Think, and this service is now available in many places. If you have a single Ethernet pipe servicing your branch, but yet you do have a requirement to access some services in the public cloud or in the private cloud, hence again the hybrid cloud model, I now have a need for intelligence at the edge of my branch to provide differentiated services for the various application or services that I need access to. Hence, or an example, my Dropbox or file sharing services may have a lower priority and lower amount of bandwidth than my contact center or my video application or whatever is, my CRM, whatever is critical to my business. Now the beauty of this is, again, we need to be able to give customers, and Nadal touched on this, the flexibility to apply our technology regardless of the cloud deployment model that is best suitable for your business. We have to be able to give you, and our partner community have to help us position, again, the concept of multi-cloud capabilities, and be able to adapt to any deployment model. Now, why am I going through this? Well, we are at this inflection point, and everybody talks about, and Paul talked about software-defined networks, software-defined something. Well, I like to refer to it as software-defined everything. There's a lot of transformation. This is a profound impact in the marketplace. Now, what do I mean by this? If I can get this clicker to work. I like to refer to it as software-defined X. Why? Well, without getting into the acronyms and all of the technology stuff in there too deep, when you look at software-defined, there's the software-defined data centers, SDDCs. Everybody talks about SDN, software-defined networks. Now we're talking about SD-WAN. So the hybrid cloud model that I just described is now referred to it, and you're going to see all kinds of startup come up in the SD-WAN space, because I need a device at the WAN edge of an Ethernet transport to be able to have this intelligence and policy capability. So you're going to start hearing more and more, right? And I'm sure over the last 6 months you've seen a lot of traffic in this space. We're not talking about software-defined storage, right? We're talking about software-defined engagement, software-defined architecture, the architecture of all of these SDXs that are out there. On top of this, a couple of other speakers also mentioned NFV, network functions being virtualized. Your firewall, your IDS, your IBS, your SBCs, your MCUs, right? Nadal made the point, by April of next year, everything that Avaya used to make that had a hardware dependency will now be available in software. That is a profound transformation from 2.5 years ago, where we now have that capability. Now, why is it that everybody wants to move to software? What is all this excitement about? It's about elasticity. How many times have you forklift your firewall because it didn't meet your business capacity needs? How many times have you changed your servers because you ran out of storage or memory or compute power? This transformation of elasticity is absolutely critical, and we've done a tremendous job in the marketplace to meet the application elasticity requirements. It may not be the same for the network, and we need to touch on this too. But first, let's look at some other trends that we're talking about, and then we'll talk about how do we solve some of the elasticity in the applications world. Now, I put this, Paul talked about some of the trends. This is what Gartner says are the trends happening next year. In 2016, look through the windshield And they're saying that there's going to be something referred to as the device mesh. Well, if you start looking some of this public information, the device mesh for them means that me as a human being, I'm connected multiple ways. My cell phone through the carrier network, my laptop through the Wi-Fi, this other device through the corporate network, right? I have multiple devices connecting me. I become a human mesh. I'm connected via different paths to get to the various applications that I need. Well, keep in mind the term mesh, which is very critical as we transition from a client-server architecture into a mesh architecture. And that is, again, something that you cannot take lightly, and this is a key opportunity. Ambient user experience, and I'm not going to go through every single point here, but the ambient user experience means that, while everybody talks about contextual customer experience, the omni-channel, right? The ability to, when you type, and call someone and you enter your credit card number, you don't want to have to repeat the credit card number as soon as the agent comes online, right? The contextual information is key. But what they mean by ambient experience is the ability to say, I started the conversation on the web, I went through a call, I went mobile, right? I went back in my office, and the context that came with that was not lost along the way. I got an ambient experience. Well, folks, I'm going to pick on this a little bit. This is the future. What did we announce last year with Plantronics? The ability to move a session from a mobile device based on proximity and transition, right, the session over our video conferencing solutions based on Ravvision Scopia technology. Now, the reason I pick on this is, as innovators and vendors, the windshield for us is in the future, in the far distant future. We couldn't deliver this technology to you now or in a few months if we had not started the journey years ago. And therefore, what's interesting here is that if you keep going down this list about advanced machine learning, adaptive security architecture, the ability to dynamically automate security, quarantine devices, right, automatically, the Internet of Things architecture, the ability to bring devices quickly onto your infrastructure and service them. You'll be shocked, and now as you look through the list, Avaya is such a strong innovator in the marketplace that probably 60–70% of those future things that are being predicted are already available to you as customers. This is pretty powerful and a great testimonial of the strength of the innovation that Avaya has brought to the marketplace over the last 2 years through its transformation to make sure that we generate the right business outcomes in the marketplace. But we don't stop there. Some of the other customer trends, so who you service, being your citizens or your customers, what's going on in this marketplace? Well, we've all talked about contact centers. What I like to refer to is, as you look at evolving the contact from starting for a phone call to now start from a web chat and elevate to an audio call, elevate to a video call, elevate to a full collaborative session, recording all of those medias, and doing real-time analytics to make sure that the service, right, is delivered properly and with the right quality, so that you can intervene in real time, jump with a supervisor, and make sure that the customer satisfaction is at its highest. Well, I like to refer to this as the transition from a call center to a contact center to a relationship center. If you want to service your customer and have a CSAT or an NPS score that is, bar none, the best in the industry against your competition, you have to move to a relationship, right, center. That means that the context, the social media, anything that you can bring into the context to better service your customer has to be fully integrated. Now, this does not diminish, to Nidal's point, we're going to continue to sell digital phones and unified communication and contact centers, right, depending on where these customers are. But clearly, there's a convergence of UCCC and video. Which customers would buy and develop or deploy a next-generation relationship center without a video play? Hence, once again, the acquisition of technology like RadVision and the ability to do mobile high-definition collaboration capabilities over any device at any time with no limited bandwidth was a strategic acquisition that now the competition is coming to realize, and therefore they have to react to the innovation that we have brought to the market. So once again, we're not diminishing the need, but there are some customers that are further along in this journey, and we have to be able to adapt to those needs and therefore meet and generate the right business outcomes. So as we look at this, all right, in the past, we had some back-end data, and we all know how many databases we've had to deal with, right? Customer relationships, authentication system, Active Directory, and all this, right? Regardless of what that back-end data is, depending on what, right, market and what technology or application you're looking at. If I just use one example, because there are many of that. In the past, in order to deliver a service to a customer, in order to connect, right, the people to the business and the application that they wanted to be serviced on, we had this technology maybe as an IVR. And in order to establish that, I had to build programming specifically for the IVR. So that was very siloed. I did it specifically for IVR. It was not applicable to anything. Worse, as I developed this connection between the two, I had to be worried about the business continuity, the scalability, the ability to support this in a global, right, multi-site deployment. As the programmer, I had to worry about this because there was a dependency and it was all fully integrated. Very complex, and therefore what ended up happening is we were not moving at the pace that we wanted. What's happening through this transformation is we have to move to a broker type model. And notice at the bottom, it went from specific data to big data. I now need, in order to deliver a relationship center, the ability to bring all this context information, do the real-time analytics of big data, and broker it. And this platform that you see called Engagement Development Platform, or EDP, becomes the broker between the customer and the business needs. But what's interesting is, as you become the broker, we become this middleware that eliminates the need for people to worry about, will my system scale? Will I meet my security need? Will my business continuity requirement being met as I develop this business automation between the two? So it's all about generating the right outcome. So what Avaya has delivered once again as an innovative and differentiated technology is this broker technology, this middleware that provides openness, allowing any business application to be fully integrated and automated to generate the right business process to augment and deliver on the customer experience. And that is very profound, right? As we look at this and leverage EDP as this middleware, we can now customize business processes, and therefore, from an application point of view, for UCCC, right, and video, we now have the ability, based on an event, based on a business need, based on something happening within your business, to trigger the right customized business process automation. We have now delivered automation for the business application, and we are the first in the market to do that. That's great. Fantastic accomplishment. But, right, as we look at this, I need to continue now to make it easy for people to build those workflows. So it's great that I have the tool, but if I need the same skill set, the same programmers, right, in the marketplace to be able to do that, it's too complex and too costly, and I will not move at the business speed that I need. Therefore, this workflow automation, this open architecture allows you to do drag and drop, customizable workflow to basically react to whatever event or whatever will add business value to your organizations. So now you can get away from the highly skilled programmers and then build these tools and these workflow automation in a matter of seconds, right? Minutes or hours, but definitely not months and years. And this is where we have a huge competitive advantage, where we constantly hear in the contact center space that our competition has been working on these automation for years, and we're able to deliver this in weeks. That is a huge and profound impact in the marketplace. So Avaya is in a very sweet spot when it comes to business process workflow automation in an open architecture that allows us to communication enable any business application and generate the right business outcome with a drag and drop middleware that allows you to move at the business speed that you require. That is very profound. But now we're not done. It's all great, and you see different boxes, so we are going to develop this concept, and you'll hear terminology like snap-ins. Snap-in could be a dynamic team formation. Example, a device fails, something enters the network, right? Connects, a customer calls. I want to bring a team together. So we've developed these snap-ins within this middleware that allow you to say, if the phone rings, bring this team of people together by sending them an SMS, an email, or whatever mechanism you want to use, right? And bring all of them together. Now this is a simple snap-in that we've developed, but yet becomes very powerful as you start dragging and dropping this snap-in within your business process automation. So we have many examples. There'll be a session, a deeper dive going on tomorrow about EDP. But what's important here is, as you look at this, ask yourself, partner community and customers that are in the room, is my network automated to deliver on this business process automation that I need? Great that I can build these workflows, but if my network is holding me back, if IT is holding me back, am I achieving my business objective? Am I generating and getting the right business outcome? And the answer, folks, is the profound impact on the marketplace. If you stick to the status quo, you will be held back. And while the technology above it is going to be extraordinary, IT is going to hold you back and prevent you from deploying those services at the pace that you need. So what is Avaya doing about it again? Well, if you look at these statistics, and I could spend 10 minutes on that, but for the sake of simplifying and accelerating this discussion, look at what's in the light. 83% of networking budget is spent on keeping the lights on. I don't care if it's 70%, 75%, 80%, whatever stats you want to use. The bottom line is we have highly skilled people that are paid just to keep the lights on. How does that meet your business needs? So to me, the best analogy is when you walk into a room and you flip the switch to turn the light on, do you worry about where the power is coming from, if the wire is going through the wall, if the bulb's going to actually come on with the right color? You flip the switch and the light comes on and you forget about it. The same way as you turn the tap and the water comes out. Abracadabra, freaking magic. But why is it that we have to wait, all right, and worry about the network? And every time we make changes to the network, we're worried that on Saturday night or Sunday night, or when I walk in on Sunday morning, that things will fall apart. We have not achieved the same level of automation, and therefore we are spending a lot of OpEx dollars just to maintain the network operational. That is not suitable for the future. That is not a sustainable model to meet your business needs and generate the right outcome. It's time for a change. So what we're saying is, the legacy architecture has served us well. And it's fair, right, to make those statements in the market. We, all vendors, build a very complex environment. And unfortunately, as we needed to meet some of the business needs regards to virtualization, security, routing, segmentation, right, of traffic, we build this complex proprietary, right, mechanism, layering protocols or complexity on top of each other, making it a very fragile environment and complex to change. And this is why when IT is asked to say, I need to add 1,000 video surveillance cameras to my network by next week, the IT folks freak, because it's going to take a lot of planning, configuration, right, time, validation, tests of the configuration, plan for a maintenance window because you don't want to take the risk to bring the business down as you deploy this new service. It takes time. It's not because our people are not qualified, it's just that we're dealing with a great deal of complexity. On the right-hand side, this is what the business needs. I want speed. I want business continuity. I don't want maintenance window. I want my business to run. I don't want to recover from a disaster. I don't want the disaster to happen. All right? I want enhanced security. I want compliance. I want PCI, HIPAA. I want to be able to segment my traffic and not compromise. I want to prevent IP hacking. Those are the things that the business is going to be asking you for. But now we're being held back. And what we're saying is, how do we bridge from the existing environment into the future? And it's a bridge, and it's important, this concept of a bridge. It's not a forklift, it's not a revolution, it's an evolution. You need to be able to evolve because the legacy will continue to exist for some time. And this is very important because we're not asking the skilled people that are maintaining the lights on to have a lobotomy and forget everything they've learned over the last 25 years, but rather to evolve into a next generation architecture that will bring them into the future to better meet the business needs. And that bridge is important. And this is once again an area that Avaya has been focusing on quite a bit. I always like to use analogies. This concept of hop by hop, right? Now I've flown with Emirates, and I'm telling you, it is pleasant to fly from San Francisco to Dubai on a direct flight. Congratulations, Emirates. This is absolutely fantastic, right? Great experience, great customer experience, by the way, all right? Raising the bar in the marketplace. But my point here, if you flew with other airlines and had to hop through cities, 2 stops, how pleasant was that experience? 5 hours in Frankfurt, right? Sit at the lounge, do emails, right? And stuff like that. Not a pleasant experience. The key here in my analogy is that we have built networks the exact way that an airline ticket hops across, right, the cities. Makes no sense. Worse, when people have problems, they have to troubleshoot every city. So I have to go to Frankfurt and see if there's anything wrong in Frankfurt. Then I go to Paris. I don't know, is there anything wrong in Paris, right? Bad timing for that joke, but anyways. But the key here is as you have to go from, city to city. This is not good. This is not easy. This is not meeting your business needs. It is time to move to a direct flight model. It is time to move to this concept of a one-hop enterprise. One-hop enterprise means I am in Dubai, fly me to San Francisco. Direct, no stop. The benefit of this is when I need to provision a service, do the airlines worry about what's going on in other cities or to just fly over them? If you need to troubleshoot, do you have to go to every city to find out if there's anything wrong, or you just fly over them? Think about the OpEx cost savings associated with a one-hop enterprise model. This is, folks, what Avaya has brought to market as the innovator of transforming and disrupting the status quo in the marketplace. And I'm going to make some bold statements here. Avaya has now delivered an automated network architecture. We are the only vendor, I repeat, the only vendor delivering an end-to-end, enterprise-wide, OneHop Enterprise architecture that differentiates us from the competition. We have eliminated the need for these legacy protocols that are sitting on top of each other and causing us to lose sleep on weekends, to bring it down to a single protocol, standardized, open, with interoperability. We are the automated network architecture in this industry. We are setting the bar to levels that are unmatched against any of our competitors. And this is kudos to Avaya for accomplishing that and being the first in the industry to deliver on this automation. We've done this by maintaining openness to make sure that we don't give you proprietary schemes and lock you into a vendor. You have to be able to interoperate. Hence, we standardize what we brought to market. The IEEE has recognized it as the only technology to be standardized to build an end-to-end OneHop enterprise fabric. IETF also recognized it. But what does that translate to? Because we have an automated core, now you want to connect the Internet of Things? Knock yourself out. Connect as many cameras as you want. Connect as many phones as you want. As many biometric sensors, door locks, wireless access point, medical devices. It doesn't matter. What we have delivered here is bar none the best technology for the Internet of Things. And we'll get into a little bit more about that in a few minutes. But also another key benefit of this architecture. My core is fully automated and also becomes transparent and fully invisible to IP hacking. I fly over cities. So when a hacker finds a way to penetrate your infrastructure, they cannot do IP hopping and discover your topology and be able to hack various applications or devices on your network. If they were to penetrate something, right, your firewalls, then what happens is we're going to simply give them a black hole. They do not see anything. We refer to this as stealth automated core or stealth networks. These zones are completely invisible. Which customer, right, which of your customers are not interested to talk about cybersecurity today? Huge benefit of building an automated core architecture, a OneHop enterprise. This is real. This is the technology that Avaya has brought to market as the innovator, right, in the market. Now I want to continue the journey. So now we're about automating the networking infrastructure. If we look at the data center where a lot of this started, we started with servers. When you bought application, in the past, as Nidal mentioned, we shipped you a server that was sized and run for this specific application. And if you wanted more, you bought more servers. And eventually you ran out of capacity, so you upgraded the server. VMware had a profound impact in the marketplace by bringing virtual machines to market. Now pay attention to these arrows, right? As you can see on the left-hand side with the hardware, the traffic was for the most part going north-south. The traffic in the middle starts slightly going east-west. Why? Because I had multiple virtual machines that could be participating in the same business processes or business application. But the key here was not bad enough for us to be forced to transform the data center architecture. But now look at what's happening. And this is, by the way, a market that none of you shall ignore. The hyper-converged SANs technology is now allowing Ethernet as the transport to scale your SANs. Buy boxes, plug them on the Ethernet, they will discover each other and scale. Look at the flows now and look at our own technology. When you look at EDP, CM, SM, right? Some of our applications, they're all distributed across dispersed physical environments or racks or data centers, and they all work together. The flows are now going any to any. Remember the concept of the human mesh? Well, guess what happened to the data center technology? Because of that technology evolution, we are forced to move to a meshed architecture. We have to. This is where Ethernet fabric came to mind. The first area that we addressed was in the data center. But I always ask customers, how many of your customers or citizens that you're servicing sit in the data center? Nobody. So how great is it to virtualize your data center if you can't push your services to the edge where it's been consumed easily? So while you need to pay attention to this, the concept of a meshed architecture is absolutely critical. So what we're doing is we're moving to a software-defined networks, the N. The competition is going to come to you and try to sell you this concept of separating the data plane and the control plane and centralizing this into a software controller. So, Mr. Customer, here's a software controller. Let's bring all this complexity into this wonderful software, right, controller application. We're going to do all the configuration, the complex stuff here, and then we're going to push the same mess back out. What does that accomplish? Have you delivered any simplification of your infrastructure by doing that? All you did is you moved the problem that was distributed, you centralized it. The recovery times are not going to change, you still have the same protocols. The outcome is not going to be different, you're dealing with the same technology, just centralized. So ask yourself, if you've not virtualized your infrastructure, how easy will it be to adapt to NFVs, network functions virtualized, that Paul also mentioned? When you virtualize your firewall and your infrastructure is not virtualized, how easy is it to interact and interconnect the two? While it may be possible, it may not allow you to move at the business speed that you want. And therefore, more and more people, and I'll quote another analyst because I co-presented with Forrester 2 weeks ago, and finally, music to my ears, they said the industry needs an enterprise-wide fabric to meet the business needs. Music to my ears. So they are coming to the same conclusion. That's why I say, regardless of the path that you take, how quick can you get to SDN? And where Avaya has differentiated itself from the competition is we selected a different path. We said we're going to simplify, we're not going to centralize, we're going to maintain it distributed, but we're going to eliminate 10 to 12 protocols, we're going to make it one. Therefore, one protocol is going to reconverge faster. We're going to make everything active as opposed to active standby. We're going to deliver on business continuity, not disaster recovery. By moving to a fabric-based architecture and OneHop Enterprise, I'm going to start addressing some of the security needs and business requirements to meet compliance and so on. And therefore, our path is easily adaptable to the network functions being virtualized, such as a firewall, your IDS, your SBCs, your MCUs, all of the other functions that will be virtualized. And what Avaya can do for your business is to bring you, right, partners to your customers faster to a software-defined architecture than our competition can. All of our competitors are promising things in the next 18 to 24 months. Avaya has been shipping for the last 18. If that's not innovation, folks, if this is not looking through the windshield and looking at the right dot, this is, bar none, the best way to achieve our business objectives. And we have launched this under the name SDN-FX. And if you go to the networking session tomorrow, the workshop, you'll get into more details of the various technology that we've brought, from fabric attached to extend to orchestrate, right, and so on. So you'll hear more about that. But the key here is Avaya makes SDN a reality before any of its competitors by driving simplification, openness, and giving you the business agility that customers are looking for. Now, what I'd like to do is, let's try to simplify things. So what I'm saying is, don't have to remember all of these acronyms. Remember 5 simple steps. To get to SDN, first, simplify your architecture. The automation has to be built in, and therefore, by moving to the right architecture, your time to repair, time to service, time to market is going to be automated and accelerated. The next piece, let's start looking at business process automation. This is our EDP, Aura platform. The ability to create services, OneHop Enterprise, and automate through workflows and deliver on business process automation. The next step, let's start orchestrating. I should be able to go to the Nutanix orchestration tool, click on the mouse, and boom, voila, IP Office appears. That is the orchestration that we're now working on to bring this technology, not just with one specific hyperconvergence vendor, but also within our own orchestration tool. So our journey has already started. So Avaya is already at step 4. But what's interesting is our competition is telling customers to buy step 5 today. Why would you buy step 5, an SDN controller, try to build application profiling and open orchestration, and yet add another protocol, OpenFlow, on top of all the other protocols that we already have that are causing us grief? How does that meet your business needs? Once again, the promises are so far ahead, right, and so far along that again the business outcomes are not going to be generated in the time frame that you need. So remember those 5 steps, right, as we go along, because those are important. So what I've done is I've tried to summarize, and I say, all right, if you don't believe me, and by the way, I'm asking you, don't believe what I'm saying. Come and see it. Help us do a proof of concept and put us side by side with the competition. But I've put 10 points. There are 10 things that we do 10 times better or more than the competition, and we will defend every single one of them. And while I could go through the list, it's from protocol simplification, time to service from 30 days to same-day delivery, hop by hop to one virtual enterprise, direct flights, direct hop. The recovery time's going from 13 minutes on average on the business impact to 320 milliseconds, not noticeable by the application or the end users. Scaling nodes, the Internet of Things, being limited physically to 500 video surveillance camera on the physical network to tens of thousands of those devices that you can add to the same physical converged infrastructure. And the list goes on, and again, the workshop will get into a bit more details tomorrow. So as we go through this, well, we have gone through the digital enterprise, right? We have transformed our business application. Avaya has now delivered business process automation over a network that is fully automated. That puts us in a very, very, very sweet position in the marketplace. And what we are doing is, well, if you're focused on smart cities, Avaya is saying that there are 3 major building blocks to focus on. First, the government sometimes has to intervene for regulations, for compliance. And I use different examples in the past about public safety, right? About smart devices not being able to be brought in school by the kids. We got to look, and the government sometimes has to jump in. The government has to change the infrastructure. We have to move from copper-based to fiber-based. Investments have to be made. The government sometimes has to push the service providers to move faster. Those are all things that are realities. But from an enterprise point of view, the healthcare, the education, the finance, the banking, right, all have different needs. How do we best meet those needs? And last but not least, you have your citizens. Your citizens have to consume those applications and those smart devices to make your city smart. So what Avaya is saying as its building blocks, SDNFX becomes the automated foundation of smart cities. If you have an automated business process implementation over an automated networking infrastructure, The rest becomes easy. And I'll build those up, for sake of time, because I'm going to go in every example one by one. So we look at the government, we look at public safety, we look at smart healthcare, smart education, smart stadiums, smart hospitality, smart banking, and we now have the citizen consuming smart devices and smart apps. And what's interesting here is the Internet of Things is not a problem for Avaya, it's an outcome. That's totally different than what the competition is saying. Internet of Things for us is real today, easy, and I'll give you some examples as well. So let me first look at the public safety sector. So if you look at the smart solutions, I'll cover a few smart public safety, give you some examples: education, healthcare, hospitality, and stadiums. And there's more, right? There's even the smart kiosk, from a banking point of view, that is out there. Let me first start with public safety. When we look at smart public safety, and this gives me the chill every time I talk about it, right? Now in the US, not necessarily here, but we've been positioning this. In the US, you may have heard of things like Carey's Law. Right? A poor lady that was killed in a hotel after her daughter tried to dial 911 4 times and got a busy signal in the hotel room. Her husband killed her. The daughter did what she was taught to do, dial 911 for emergency. Unfortunately, she had to dial 911. Sad story, not the desired outcome. But what's interesting is Avaya took upon itself to go and change the status quo. We have now changed 16 states in the US where the government has intervened and forced any hospitality to allow people to dial 911 at all time. 30 days ago, another stabbing took place in the same hotel that Carey was killed, and the person is now recovering in the hospital because 911 worked. That is what Avaya has done. We just saved a life. If that is not good application of the technology and innovation, folks, I don't know what that is, right? So kudos to Avaya and all the people that are pushing this. But we didn't stop there. We talked about video, right? Great to dial 911 or 999 here, but what I need is context. We talked about this context. We talked about multimedia. What I want is to be able to push a video to the people that are dialing for emergency. You can't do this if you have a voice channel only. So once again, back to the government. The government has to force service providers to allow a data channel to be established when someone calls for emergency. I need to be able to push you a video on how to perform CPR because I'm having a heart attack. I need to automate this process because reacting to a shooting versus someone having a heart attack in a mall is different. Business process workflow automation. We now have the ability through this data channel to get the exact location of the individuals that are calling. I can now turn your mobile smartphone camera into a video input integrated with my video surveillance or my video conferencing of the people responding with smart wearables like such as Google Glass, so that they have visibility as they respond to the emergency situation. This is technology that we've brought to market. This is stuff that we can show you today. Smart public safety, a big focus area for us. In education, well, I know if you hear the news, lots of unfortunate situations happening. The smart education is about multiple things. First thing we wanted to do is, in some states, they're saying in the US, again mainly, because we don't see this in other parts of the world here, thank God, right? But we look at this and you say, I want the kids to bring a smartphone. But in some areas they say, no, we don't. So what we're saying is we should use the technology to enable the presence of the professor and prevent the kids from looking at YouTube videos while the professor is doing a lecture. That can be done now through triangulation, through GPS, through beacons technology, right? This is now possible. Let's make the school smarter. Let's make the education sector much smarter than it has been. But also, why not detect that the students or one student or one individual goes out to an area that is not safe, trigger an alarm, send someone to go and bring that person back into a safe area. What if I could demonstrate today a complete school lockdown by using our 1X mobile client, press one button and all the doors are locked. Then be able to control any SIP endpoints from my mobile device as well. Unlock, establish a communication, a video call with the door lock system to see who's there. All this, folks, is now possible as we deliver smart education solutions in the marketplace. Very powerful. And what I want to reiterate here is, as I go through this is not just for large enterprises. This was for mid-market, perfectly suitable for the mid-market. So regardless of the size of your customer, and think about how many products form this solution. IP Office, maybe Aura, EDP, networking, wireless LAN, security, SBC, ID Engine, professional services, partners. We need firewalls, IDS, load balancers. We don't make those. You as partner have a golden opportunity to put these solutions together and generate, again, a huge relevance to your customers by meeting their solutions need. This is huge, folks. This is for you, right? We're going to help you bring these solutions, but we can't do everything. This is back to Nadal's point about fit for purpose. The things that we do better than the competition. The things that we don't do, we need our partner community to glue it together. Very important. And once again, I don't want anybody to be left with the impression this is only in the large enterprises. This is absolutely perfect in the mid-market as well. Smart Workspace. Let me use graphics instead. Here's what we can deliver in the Smart Workspace. I walk in to an area, right? I have my mobile phone, beacons technology, whatever I use, detects my presence. Says on the screen, welcome JT. JT puts his fingerprint, biometric authentication, right? I get authenticated. Look at what happened to the digital display right at the room, right? As soon as I selected the room, boom, JT's room appeared on the digital signage. Dynamic integration of digital signage capability. Then I'm not done. As I acknowledge, the lights come on. Integration with the building management system. The lights may be blue, dimmers. The temperature will be set at the right temperature, my preferred temperature. And yet the customization is not over. Now I'll bring your virtual Scopia room in the room as you walk in, and I detect your presence right as you walk into the room. I don't do this if you don't authenticate or acknowledge, but I can do this through proximity or yet another biometric mechanism. Smart Workspace. Once again, folks, ask yourself, how many products are needed to deliver on this solution? Is this something that is not possible today? Absolutely not. The business process automation capability we have, the customization that we have in products like IP Office, the network capabilities, the mobility, the video surveillance, the integration through an open system architecture with a building management system makes all of this possible. Very powerful. Healthcare, more use cases. Of course, we're demonstrating telemedicine right outside. Right? You can go and have a look at that. I don't want to diminish the need for this. But here's a real use case that a doctor gave us in a meeting. The doctor said, let me describe an operation. I'm operating. As I operate, I run into a glitch. I need to consult some specialist. Today, the way it works, JT, I stop, take my gloves off, go down the hallway, grab a phone. I have 5 cell phone numbers to dial for 5 specialists that I need to consult. I get the third one, talk to the specialist on the phone. I get the advice that I need. Once I get the advice that I need, I hang up. Go through the washing again, right, for all the bacteria stuff. put my gloves back on, and resume the operation. The doctor told me, not making this up, 10 to 30 minutes easily have gone by as I went through this exercise. The patient may have died while I was going through this, or my entire staff is on hold, I'm occupying the operating room, and there's a huge cost associated with this too. JT, would you guys not have a solution that would allow me to just wave my hand to a camera, get to a proximity sensor, bring the right team of these 5 individuals dynamically on this big flat screen that I have next to the operating room, all right? Bring them all together, then consult with not one individual, but maybe up to 5, have a wearable camera with high definition and show them exactly what I'm running into, and then once again, right, once I'm done consulting, resume my operation. JT, if you were to build this solution for me, I'd buy it yesterday. Well, guess what? We did. How did we do this? Access video surveillance camera. They now have a SIP stack. Integrates with our SIP technology. Gesture detection. Triggers an event. EDP. Flags and brings a dynamic team formation Snapin within EDP. He leverages Scopia and video conferencing, sends an SMS, an email, right? All this done dynamically, brings all the people together. All this in a matter of seconds. Seconds. Full stack solution that once again the partner community can help us put together. Second last, hospitality. Look at hospitality, check into a hotel, right? We've all gone through the wonderful exercise. If you have 4 devices, 5 devices, get the password, log in the password, put the portal does not come up. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, right? Put the password again and again and again and again. What if we were to deliver this concept of a personal Wi-Fi? This means that you have a preferred hotel, right? You go there and edit your profile. You put your SSID that you use at home with your WPA password. Store this in your profile. You check in. Soon as you check in, get your room assigned. We dynamically create that SSID in the room that you're going to go to with the password. And therefore, as soon as I walk into the room, what happens to all my devices? All connected. Just like I'm at home. But we didn't stop there. How many of you are paranoid about getting someone next door hacking you, spoofing, snooping? It's real. What if we could tie that secure, that personal Wi-Fi zone to a secure zone on the network? And therefore, this stealth concept that I described earlier now prevents hacking. The person next door is on a different logical network, completely separated, and cannot be hacked. Would that be of value to a business to say, I can now deliver secure personal Wi-Fi? Absolutely. This is the kind of stuff that we deliver with our solutions. And once again, folks, think about all the products that are used to form those solutions. Last example, smart stadiums. It's one thing to enable Wi-Fi to a stadium. It's another thing to go to a convention center, go to an arena, right, a cricket stadium, whatever it is, and add smart. If I have a map of the environment and it tells me the bathroom is there 50 meters away, but I go there and it's closed, how smart is that? So what we need is bring the smart, by bringing business process automation, the ability to make stadiums smarter. And we have fantastic example where we've delivered on this technology, once again another solution. So folks, we do this by delivering on automation. We've talked about the momentum that we've had in the marketplace. The maturity of this technology that I'm describing, enabling those solutions, is bar none the best in the market. Just this morning, we're now up to 442. I updated this at 2 a.m. last night. So the journey continues. We are meeting unmatched number of deployment. And what's interesting is people say, Yeah, but Avaya networking, how many of those, and how do you compare to the competition? How many end-to-end SDN enabled deployment do you think the C folks have in the marketplace? 150. How many does VMware have with NSX? 150. We have 440. Are we relevant in this space or what? We're absolutely relevant, and people need to pay more attention to us. Last but not least, we have recognition. I guess I went too fast. I'll just talk about it. We have gone right from the 10th place to the 7th place to the 3rd place over the span of about 18-24 months in wireless. We're building relevance. We have awards that Nidal talked about, recognizing our innovation and capabilities in the marketplace. I close on a bit more visionary stuff, but hopefully again you guys can connect that this is not far from today. We have all kinds of natural disasters in the marketplace. Maybe it's a sandstorm, right, that you guys are sometimes experiencing here. Imagine now, through business process automation and integration, the ability to detect through whatever mechanism, video surveillance, weather forecast, big data analytics, trigger an alarm, a notification to all the end users with SMS, right, or mobile devices. Do not hit the road, there's a sandstorm hitting us. Do not go to the airport shut down. Have the airline industry fully integrated with that and be able to reschedule your flight because it's not going to take off. All this, folks, is possible when you have the right level of automation. And I take the same example and expand it further. Add this to cyber security, right? Cyber 999 for emergency services. But now start thinking about leveraging virtual intelligence. The problem when we have emergency situations, there's human emotion in play. What if we now start building big data databases based on the historical data to make sure that we always take the right set of actions and take the emotions out of the picture? Once again, bringing through business process automation, virtual intelligence to make sure that we react correctly to whatever instance, right, we are facing in the market. This is, again, sounds futuristic, but when you look at it, this is all now possible. So in conclusion, it's all about openness. It's all about moving at the business speed. It's all about, making it simple. It's all about solutions and business outcomes through the various level of automations. And I want to reiterate, look at all the products that are required to deliver on those solutions. This is a golden opportunity for our partners to help us and work together to go and meet our customers and meet their business needs to generate the right business outcomes. And on that note, before we continue, let's play a video and then I'll be back in a few minutes. All right, Nidal, would you mind joining me on the stage, please? So as we talk about innovation, there's one thing that I think this area has to be extremely proud of. Last year, when we came here, we looked at where we're heading from an innovation point of view, and of course, there's a lot of people that have great skill set, but we didn't do a good job at recognizing their skill set. We kind of asked them to go back to the bottom. And Nidal and your team, you came up and said, JT, I need to solve this. Let me go and address this. So why is it that you brought this thing known as AceFX to the market, Nidal, and you were leading the industry, right, with this solution.
See, it's a multiple dimension why we came up with it. To start with, there's a commitment from us as a company to the community that, specifically in the Middle East and part of India, part of the Asian countries, the majority of population is young generation. And if you think about the problem we have is finding jobs for people that as they come up out from university. So we want to contribute to training, and we want to contribute to training by not making it specific that you are training like other competition on that. So we came up with some trainings and we want to enhance it. Our customer said, we pay a lot of money for the certified people, and they are certified and we have to be certified, and we cannot move them to the next generation of training. We cannot transform them to be business-oriented type engineers. They are fixed into coding, what we talk about over the night. And the third one is that how can we help our partner train their customers? So these three things we came up. If we want to sell the fabric, if we want to part of digital transformation, we need to educate the people in the countries, help our customers and partners with their certified people with our competition, and third, build a community that understands the business. So we launched the AceFX.
So what is fundamentally different? Are you saying that you're now recognizing their skill set as you bring them into the certification?
Absolutely. We don't have to bring them to come from the bottom and start. They can come, do the training, or they can come and do the test, and they get a recognized certification equal, better than CCIE, Microsoft, to that thing, with a number recognized. They use it on their LinkedIn, they use it on their CVs, allow them to move on, and they can do 5 days training, 10 days training, or they can do no training. If they pass the test, they get certification. It's not easy to pass the test. It's a limited club. It has also privilege. It's not like one-time certification. It will be part of community that allow them to get benefit, to get access to an event like this, to get to ATF without fee. We're building a website for them. So it's a community of a new technology business type engineers.
So what's cool, and what you just said is, so we're finally recognizing CCIEs, Juniper experts, Brocade experts, so people that have an industry recognized certification, they're now welcome. We're not asking them to go to a web page and do some basic fundamentals testing. We would say, okay, we recognize your skill set, come on board. But now, right, when you do your CCIE or some of these things, there's an end point, right? You pass, you get your CCIE, you're done. But I think if I heard you right, this is a journey. Yes. You're now entering the transformation, the business journey towards automation by recognizing that there is a next generation architecture required, business automation is required, but we're going to help you continue this journey with us as we bring new technology in the market. Is that correct?
Absolutely, that's correct. In addition to that, for our business partner in the room, we launched the AceFX Elite that will certify our partner. They will get certification based on selling our fabric or our SDN, so that we will take them through the same training. It started in Dubai. It becomes a global, based on a need. It's adapted by the company globally, and if you don't mind,
no.
The first 6 AceFX are globally certified. They are in the room. We'd like to bring them on board to recognize them.
Come on stage. Don't be shy.
You know, the faster you come, the people can go for lunch now.
No pressure.
I'll take the show.
Hey, here we go. Hi. Congratulations, guys. Congratulations.
No, I'm not.
Stay right there. We'll be right back. So these guys have achieved it. Some of you CCIEs? Raise your hand. You saw the light. How does it feel?
It's good.
Muhammad Amjad.
Very good.
00040. Congratulations.
So everybody gets an ID. This is ID 0040, right? First of our partner. 33.
33. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
45.
45.
Mina Musa. Yes. That is
Congratulations.
This is for Matt.
You need one? Man, 0001.
Thank you very much.
The first one to get certified in the world.
Christopher, 0003.
All right, congratulations.
Nine.
And Naim, 42. Ladies and gentlemen, probably this is the first 6 certified people globally, and it's not easy task to do. So please bring more of you to the training,
Excellent, and I think we're done. So it's time for lunch.
Yeah.
Thank you, folks. Hopefully that was valuable sessions, folks, and we look forward to discussing it further with you. Thank you.